In this video, we're going to be looking at matrix multiplication. So when you're adding or subtracting matrices, you have to have the same dimensions for both. When you're multiplying matrices, it's a little bit different. So what needs to happen is the column of the first matrices has to be the same as the row of the second. So notice that these two are the same, and what ends up happening is you will have, in this case, is going to be a 2 by 4 matrix. And the way that we do that is we're going to multiply the rows times each of the columns. So let's look at an example. Here, the first matrix is a 2 by 2 because there are 2 rows and 2 columns, so we would say it's a 2 by 2. The second matrix is a 2 by 1, 2, 3. So our resulting matrix, notice that these two are the same. Our resulting matrix is going to be a 2 by 3. Okay, so when we go to multiply matrices, we're going to multiply rows times each of the columns. And when we do that, each time we multiply, we're going to multiply and add together. That's going to be one element of the matrix. So this is our first row, and I'm going to multiply it by this first column. So when I do this, it's going to be 2 times 3 plus negative 1 times 5. Negative 1 times 5. That's going to be my first entry. Now I'm going to do the same thing. 2 times negative 1. Let me choose a different color. 2 times negative 1. This time I'm going to multiply by the second column in that second matrix. So it's going to be 2 times negative 9. 2 times negative 9 plus negative 1 times 7. Negative 1 times 7. So that's going to be the second entry in my resulting matrix. And then for the last one for this row is going to be 2 times negative 1 times 2 and negative 6. So 2 times 2 and then plus negative 1 times negative 6. So that's my first row, and I got that by multiplying the first row in my first matrix by all of the columns in my second matrix. So the same thing's going to happen now, but this time I'm going to use the second row in my first matrix, and I'm going to multiply that to every column in the second matrix. So we have 3 and 4. We're going to multiply that by 3 and 5 here. So we'll get 3 times 3 plus 4 times 5. For the second one, we're going to do 3 times 4, or 3 and 4, excuse me, and then that negative 9 and 7. So it's going to be 3 times negative 9 plus 4 times 7. And then for the last one, we're going to do the 3 and 4 again, that row of the first, multiplied by the last column of the second matrix. So we'll do 3 times 2 plus 4 times negative 1 times negative 6. My fault. Okay. So now that we've done each of those, we can determine the values of each element. So this ends up being 2 times 3 is 6. We'll do it in between 1. 6. This is minus 5 because negative 1 times 5. This is negative 18 and then plus a negative, so minus. So negative 18 minus 7. And then this one right here, 2 times 2, that gives me 4. Negative times a negative, that's going to give me a positive 6. For the second row, 3 times 3, that's 9. Plus 4 times 5 is 20. The next one, 3 times negative 9 is negative 27. Plus 4 times 7, so it's going to be plus 28. And then the last element, 3 times 2 is 6. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24, so minus 24. All right, so now that I've done that, I can go ahead and combine those and get my final answer. So 6 minus 5, 1, negative 18 minus 7, negative 25. 4 plus 6 is going to give me 10. 9 plus 20 is 29. Negative 27 plus 28 is positive 1. And then 6 minus 24 is negative 18. So this is my resulting matrix. Notice it is a 2 by 3. 2 by 3. Let's do another example. So this second one, I have a 2 by 1, 2, 3. And I want to multiply that by a 2 by 2. But the problem is these two are not the same. So you cannot do it. Does not exist. You cannot multiply these two matrices. For our last example, we have a 2 by 2, 2 rows, 2 columns, multiplied by another 2 by 2. These are both square matrices, and because these two numbers are the same, we will end up being able to multiply these two matrices, and our resulting matrix will be another 2 by 2. So when you multiply two square matrices, your answer is also a square matrix. So we're going to start off with this row, 0 and negative 1, and then we're going to multiply by this column, row times column. This is going to be 0 times 4, 0 times 4, plus negative 1 times negative 2, negative 1 times negative 2. We're going to do the same thing, except we're multiplying now by the second column. So this same row needs to be multiplied by the second column. So we will get 0 times negative 3 plus negative 1 times 5. Now we're going to do this row, multiply it by the first column in the second matrix, 1 times 4 plus 0 times negative 2. And then lastly, we have this row times this column, 1 times negative 3 plus 0 times 5. We can simplify that. So we're going to do 0 times 4. Of course, that gives us 0. Negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1. 0 times 3 gives us 0. Negative 1 times 5 is negative 5. 1 times 4 is 4. 0 times negative 2 is 0. And then 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. 0 times 5 is 0. So our final matrix is going to be 0, negative 5, 4, and negative 3.